All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McLogan and this is week number 61 for my open live Q&A where I'm here to answer your questions. But before I get to that, we are going to talk about the best time to study. So I know that exam season is coming around the corner and I want to kind of get ahead of it because that's where I think is a lot of the important things that you guys are going to be coming up on. As far as for your exams, you're going to want to know this stuff now, not when the exams are right around the corner or right in when you're in the midst of like, hey, you got an exam coming up this week. That is not the good way to plan. So what I wanted to do in this kind of live stream is just kind of talk to you about some of the best ways that I have found for myself as far as studying, as well as what I recommend with my own students and some of the things that we do that I do inside of the classroom to help my students. But before I get into that, also wanted to let you guys know that everything I'm going to talk about tonight is on purpose. Because it falls in line with what I have going on that starts tomorrow, which is my 30-day challenge. And this 30-day challenge is basically a challenge to see if you guys can complete a math problem each and every day for the next 30 days. It's actually 31, but a 30-day math challenge just sounds much better. So I kept it at 30. But it is every day in March. I have all the problems created and set up to go ahead and email you at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then for you to go ahead and submit, or, go on the question, you can submit it, post your work. And then the next following day, I send you an email that shows you the worked out solution and all the videos. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of work on my shorts, kind of creating some more content. So all the videos of me going through all the problems are less than a minute. So it really does, not take up a whole bunch of your time. But, one of the big things I wanted to do this challenge for is for you guys to get consistent, for you to plan and prepare of doing math consistently and daily. But that is what I wanted to let you guys know ahead. So hey, Blue Line Guide and Hayden and Sergio and Forged. Want to buy a box of Thin Mints? I do. I like that name. And Pappy and Henry and Dakota. Well, you are very welcome. Happy so much to be able to help you guys out for my 8th grade. You're very welcome. So thank you guys for showing up for this live stream. Hopefully you guys can see my cut is not as bad. If you weren't on my live stream last week, I fell off my bike, just my little bicycle that I was doing a ride in the morning. And yeah, so I took a nice face plant right on the road. It was not good. I was pretty swollen up last Sunday and I was actually kind of scared even going on. Like I even thought like YouTube wouldn't even show my live stream. So I actually went off of the screen for a little bit. If you look at my live stream, it's kind of funny. I wasn't as bad swollen. I think I did get more swollen on like Monday and Tuesday, but yeah, I was definitely looking a lot worse than I'm looking right now. Kind of looked like I just came back from one of my typical rugby games at the moment. But I wasn't playing rugby this time. I was just being foolish, riding on my bike and fell off. But anyways, I am feeling much better and still a little sore with my shoulder and neck and everything like that. But I'll be getting back into it and still able to make some math videos. So that's what counts. Do your class do teach, watch your streams and videos? Sometimes my students, I'll see them on Monday. I just decided going through. Sometimes I'll see my students. They'll be like, hey, saw your live stream last week or, yesterday or whatever else. And so, I don't tell them about my live streams. I mean, I know some of them obviously follow me and enjoy watching the live streams. But yeah, I I try to treat my YouTube as well as my teaching as completely separate entities just because I don't like to conflate them. I take my teaching in person very seriously. And that is, I give those students 100% of my effort inside of school. And, when I have to do their grades and, grading and all that kind of stuff. And then in the same respect, I want to make sure that when I'm doing my online work that I am completely focused on all of you guys. Because I always think that, whoever you're putting your attention to, they deserve 100% of that attention. And right now, obviously teaching is still my main focus that I do. And then obviously I do the, YouTube at home and, stuff like that. I make my videos now after school, not while I'm in class. But either way, I always get off track. You guys are like my students. I always like to get questions and I'll get a chatting and I'll just have fun talking my way through. But we hopefully should have some some extra time, a little bit in here, and I'll be able to, this should be, I think there was only about 6 questions that I'm going to handle for this live stream. So if there are some additional questions that you guys have, once I'm done with these initial 6 questions that were submitted, then I'll be more than happy to take in some more of your guys' questions. And by the way, before I go and get started, you guys can also go ahead and submit your questions. Just a reminder, each and every week in the form that is down in the description below. So please feel free to go down there, you submit your questions, and then each and every Sunday, I kind of go through the questions and I'd be able to pick some of the ones that are going to give me a variety, or the ones that at least I understand what the student is doing or how I can explain it best for in the live stream. And that's where I get most of my questions. And I will take some additional questions from you guys as I see fit. And, that just kind of depends on time and what we have going on. But if I do not get to your question, or if you're just looking for something that's a little bit, you just want something a little bit quicker in a response, then you can always go ahead and submit your questions onto my Discord channel, which also has a link in the description down below. And there is tons of people that are, actually, I just looked, over 1,600 people are on that Discord server. I think it's awesome. And I have people that are designated as tutors, but I always tell people, if you are helping people, karma plays into it. When you're helping people and then you post questions, people are going to help you, but if you're just constantly always asking questions and not helping other people, I think it's just I don't think it's going to serve you as well as for the long term. So I want to make it as much of a community, a give and take as possible. And I know not everybody can help everybody's questions on there, but I really do appreciate everybody that has been there serving each other, helping each out with their questions, because it is very nice to, have that place where you can kind of go and ask questions. And everybody's been, I think, really great on Discord, helping each other out. Because struggling in math or not knowing how to do a question can be very frustrating. And so I definitely understand with you guys on there. All right. What's the app called? I'm not sure. All right, Ariel, if you want to go ahead and let me know about any other questions, guys. I'm not going to get to any open questions right now, but I do have these main questions I'm going to address first, and then I'll get to those additional questions. But before I go ahead and get to that, let's go ahead and talk about the study, because I did tell you guys that was the name of the stream. So I do want to make sure we get to that. And I want to kind of go through the 3 things. So in my, on my YouTube community, I kind of asked you guys some of your study tips. And if you want to see what other people say, I would recommend going there, or even submitting your own advice, because those community posts, they live on there. And so it's always a great place to kind of go back to my old community posts and see what other people are saying. Sometimes I'm asking for tips and, what is some other advice you guys can give to students. And so there's some really good advice, and also you can kind of see how other people study. So one of the things I wanted to, talk about as far as, in my opinion, and again, this is my experience, it's not based on any science or any data, but, if it's going to talk about when is the best time to study, this is immediately just kind of came to think. Early, often, and consistent. Okay. Now, I understand majority of you that have had any kind of experience. If you were like myself, I did none of these when I was in high school. Absolutely none of them. If I was going to study in high school, it would have been the night before the test, and I would have tried to cram or just re-look at whatever I needed to and do it. And then if I had 2 tests or another test, then I'd do that for the next day. I didn't follow any of these guidelines. And it wasn't really until college where, the stakes were kind of, raised for me. I struggled with math. I had to do good in it. So I had to figure out how to do better than what I currently did in high school. And then also, it wasn't free like high school was for me. So if I didn't do well, then I was going to have to pay more money, to get these classes. So there was some, financial reward here as well. But, this is something that I took, from other classes as well. Like when you're in, college and you're just even, some classes you were good at, some of them were just a lot of information. And then also even when after I had been a teacher for a while, I got my real estate license. I mean, this was still 8 years ago that I did that. But I remember studying for this exam, and one of the things I did was exactly what I am preaching right now. So it is something that I have realized that, going through my educational journey, as well as with helping other students, something that is helpful. And then the other thing I'll let you guys know of what I do in my classroom to help students out. So what do I mean by early? What I mean by early is like now. Like, that's why I'm having this live stream now. I don't want to do this live stream in May when you guys have 1 or 2 weeks coming up for your exam or anything else. Now is the time for you to start studying. Okay. And that's the best thing, because if you can do it now, then it's going to be much better for you to do that often. Just little chunks. Do not need to be studying for 4 hours at a time. And I think the main thing is, like, when I say often, like, it can be anything from like just 15, 20 minutes or even less. Right now you could even do like a 5-minute, just quick little review. But I think one of the more important things is keeping those time periods down, because I think a lot of times, I know there's a lot of benefit of getting into the, state of flow. And I think I talked about in my email today. Like, I remember, in college going to the coffee shop, and I would stay there for like 30 minutes or like 3 hours. Right. And be like, I'm studying. And a lot of times, sometimes I'd get in like that, you just get in that flow and you're just like studying, taking in, but, and everything seems like it's going perfect. You're like understanding everything and it's like all coming together. But it didn't take much for me to like get out of that, or to be immediately distracted and not to be able to replicate that. And it wasn't really till I found out that, you're going to be able to build up this information if you can be consistent, and obviously early and often. And I think just adding those 3 elements into your studying routine is something that can really pay some big dividends. And again, I think, one thing I mentioned in the last live stream, like talking about doing push-ups. If you want to be able to do 100 push-ups, you're not going to, like, by the end of March, right? Let's say that by the end of this 30 days, I want you to be able to do 100 push-ups. Well, you're not going to want to do, like, on the end of the month, right? The day before you're supposed to be able to do it, try to do all 100 push-ups or as many as you can. That's not going to help you really build that strength. But if for every day in March, rather than doing like my one math problem, you try to do as many push-ups as you could, right? And, maybe the first day you can do 5, and then you can maybe do 7, and then you can maybe do 10. But if you kept up that routine, by the end of the month, maybe you get to 100, but maybe not, depending on where you're at. But that's how you're going to build up that strength. So I think it's really important, because I think a lot of students, the reason why this is so helpful is a lot of students don't want to do this. You don't want to be able to start early because everything looks so far away. It doesn't seem like it's worth it, or you're even going to remember this stuff. So let me kind of give you some tips that I wasn't really planning on talking about that you guys can start doing. All right. And this is what I do inside of my class. So step number 1, on my homeworks. My students aren't doing these because my students aren't doing these right now because of COVID. They don't physically turn in their homework anymore. So I decided to not require these. But for the last couple of years, for all of my homework assignments, each and every one of my homework assignments, I had 4. It's only 4. 4 spiral review problems. Okay. Now, if you are a really good go-getter, you can go and do this on yourself. All right. And so what I did was I chose 4 problems from previous sections, from previous tests and quizzes, and I gave them to my students, every single homework assignment. So if you think about this, and like now, and you're like, all right, well, for every single time I'm doing my math homework, why don't you just spend 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, doing 4 older problems that you've already done, they're from previous chapters. And that's just a quick little tip for you to be able to start studying. Like, that is going back and reviewing. So if you think about every single time that you're doing homework now, maybe let's say for the next month, right? Just do a couple of the problems from previous homework assignments that you previously did. And that kind of thing is going to help build up and going to help you remember that those older concepts, because I've been there before where you go back and you try to like study and, it's like, it's been months and months since you did a certain type of problem. You're like, I do not remember any of this. You're looking through your notes and you're like, this doesn't make any sense to me. So the best thing you can do is start now, like start when it's fresh. The other thing, as far as when is the best time to study, I think when is the best, like I talked about early. And what I talk about that is like obviously in time. But I think another thing as far as when you're studying things is think about trying to study when you can be able to get that focus. And one of the better things also is the focus and the freshness. Okay. So let me talk about that as well. So when I'm talking about when you can get the focus, I remember there were some times when when I'm trying to study, and I remember when I was in college, sometimes I'd study at the library, sometimes I studied at the coffee shop, sometimes I studied at like the student union, sometimes I'd study in my room. Like I had to keep on mixing it up. And also had to change up like the times. Like sometimes I would study at night, sometimes I'd study in the morning. But I think whenever you feel that you can be able to put in that focus, a lot of people I know, they do their best at night. Some people, they do their best in the morning. And I don't think this is a general rule that everybody needs to follow. But I think one of the best things you can do is like understand like when you get that best amount of focus, and just put in the 10, 20 minutes that you can to do those reviews. Like identify when you kind of think best, and just rather than trying to say, hey, I'm going to study for 4 hours, just focus down on like 20, 30 minutes. And, that's what I'm saying. If you have early and you're often, well, then you have time, like that 20, 30 minutes for over a couple days and over a couple weeks is going to be plenty enough time for you to study for your test. The other thing I think is also very important is when stuff is fresh. And this is what I mean by like after class. Like, one thing I always talk about students is doing their homework, right after class, because I've been there so many times. I've been to a math class. I'm like, I understand this. This is easy. I'm almost might even be like doodling in class because I'm like, I get this. I understand this. And then I wait the next day to do my homework. And then I try to do the homework and I'm like, I do not understand how to do any of this stuff. And I am totally confused. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. So if there's one thing I can recommend to you is do your studying right after class, right after you're in that kind of like mental, like math kind of brain. And that's one thing that I used to do when as I would teach, I'd go to the study lab or the tutor lab. And that's immediately like after I'd go to my class, I'd go to tutor lab and I'd continue just doing, so obviously I'd take a little break, but I'd go right back into it while everything was still kind of fresh and I'd knock out that work. And I think that's really helpful when you've kind of done things and you've maybe gone over some assignments or watched some videos or where else, like do some extra work. Because I think the main thing is at the end, what you're going to want to be able to do is when you start early, when you are doing like a little bit of problems and focus and off and consistent, the main thing I want students to be able to do is for the day or two before your test. And if you've never done this before, I would highly recommend that you look into trying to do this. The day or two before your test, you should really not be doing any math before your test. What I would recommend, you want to get to a point where you have studied, completed everything that you need to do. And then really, hopefully you've been around my channel enough, you've heard about my like creating a cheat sheet and like putting all these problems and examples and formulas on a cheat sheet. And really like the day or two before your test, you're just like relaxed. You're just going through your, just maybe reviewing, looking through all the problems that you did, looking through all the notes again, but you're not doing any hard cram study sessions. And you're just kind of like much more in a relaxed state and just kind of reviewing your notes and stuff like that. And coming from somebody that I know has the stress, and I know that a lot of you do, as far as the implications of not doing well on a current test, it is a really, really good relief to be like, to walk into a test knowing that you have studied, done everything that you needed to do to study and prepare for a test. And it almost is kind of like this peace of mind. You're like, hey, I might do well, I might not do well, but I have studied as much as I can possibly study for this test, and I'm going to do the best I can do. And that's it, And if you do well, it's great. And if you don't, that sucks, and you're going to be mad, and it's going to be horrible, but it's going to be like you were as prepared as you possibly could be. And that is such a great feeling. It's a much better feeling of cramming 4 hours the night before, being completely exhausted, just chugging up on the caffeine, and then going to take your test, failing it, and be like, dang it, I knew I should have studied early or studied better or studied harder or whatever may be the case. And then you're always second guessing, like, I wish I would have done that, So guys, the time is now to start studying. The time is now to start doing some extra practice problems, to start taking down your notes, putting them on a cheat sheet. So therefore you can start preparing for your exams. Because if you think back of everything you've learned throughout this whole year, it's a ton of material and you want to start now. So One last thing that I have done, and I would highly recommend that you guys are doing your studying is, trying to do something daily, even if it's a little bit. Just try to do something daily. Try to find that time where you can focus and try to get as like 10 to, just try to do 15, 20 minutes of something that is going to help you prepare. Go back through the old problems, go back through your old notes, and go back through your old tests and quizzes. Start reviewing them, start redoing those problems to help you out. So that's why I created the 30-day math challenge. It's not so much really to give you guys a great review. It's just 30 problems. That's all it is. I mean, I chose 30 problems for you guys to work on for Algebra 2 and pre-calculus. And, but it's one of the things I think is difficult for students is to build up that consistency of like, hey, I'm going to do math today, right? Because most people don't want to do math, especially if they don't like it or they struggle at it. So you want to avoid it. You want to push it off till the absolute latest amount of time, right? I'm pretty sure most students can relate to me. If you can, make sure you let me know in the chat so I feel a little bit more comfortable for you guys on there. And yeah, the key is like, don't do that. That's not helping you. That's not serving you. The best time to study is now before your test. Get consistent. So that's why I wanted to invite you guys to the challenge. If you are taking Algebra 2 or pre-calculus, the challenge starts tomorrow. So you're going to want to get signed up now. And yeah, that's pretty cool. We have a little Discord community for it. And then there's also some prizes that we'll be talking about at the end of it. So definitely looking forward to everything from there. All right. Whew. So that was a lot. Let's go and do some math. So, but let me see, before I get to them, Liam, how do you find M behavior? I'll talk about M behavior. Liam, again, I do have some questions for you guys, or I will have some open time at the end of this live stream, I'm assuming, where I can take some of your guys' questions. Aska says, thank you. Any good places to learn? I'm not really sure what you mean from that. As soon as you get the test, turn it over and write down everything that's in your head. I'm back. Yeah, Hot Wheels. That's a great tip. Definitely would recommend that as well. Did I not put it in there? I think it's in the description. Yeah. The challenge is in the description. It's just brianmclogan.com/challenge. But I guess I should probably put that in my S. No, I can't even spell challenge. There we go. Hey, got some names. How does the school allow you to make videos in class? It's actually kind of funny. I've been recording myself in class since 2010, right? So, I mean, a lot of people didn't even care or even know about YouTube, from on there. And it really wasn't actually ever a big deal until actually this year when actually teaching and recording in class, actually multiple teachers now recording inside the classes became the kind of the standard, basically, for mode of instruction. And this year I'm actually do not record inside my class because I'm always wearing a mask, and I just don't really like that teaching approach. I think my microphone still picks it up, but I don't know. I think as far as the learning process, I think it's helpful to see people's lips and their expression and kind of see how that goes. So I just don't feel like those videos are as good as if I wasn't wearing a mask. So that's why I record my videos now after school. So it's a little bit of a bummer because I'm not able to make as many of my videos that I'm typical. And I'm teaching, a lot of classes this year. So I would be able to pump out a lot of great content. But it's good because I get to slow down on that. And yeah, so that's, but it's kind of funny. I was telling my students, they're like, hey, can we go live in your class? I was like, it was so funny. Years ago, I've gone live and nobody even knew, nobody even cared. But now there's actually stuff where I'm actually not allowed to go live because they don't want us to be going live inside of our classes. So it's kind of funny. Before the pandemic, everything would have been cool, but now people are much more aware of, recording and going live and stuff like that. So, well, thank you, Paul Lee, for your super chat. I very much appreciate that. You are awesome. Thank you so much. 10-year video. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Why is this? Oh, that's it. Thank you so much. That's appreciate. The funny thing is just like the same as 10-year video. Well, I appreciate that. It's funny. I used to tell people when I was my 10-year video, my first year teaching, I always told them I was 32 years old. And then I told my students this year, I was like, hey, I'm 37. They're like, what? You don't look that old. I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much. It was funny. Like I was, I don't know, 23 when I first started teaching. And yeah, I tell students like, hey, I'm 32. And they're like, okay, yeah, I see it. And I'm like, wow, guys, seriously? Jeez. And now thankfully they're, now I'm getting the nice little compliments for that. Just was saying, will your challenge help with AP Calc? Yeah, it's not designed for AP Calc. I do it, but I know that there's a lot of demand for the for AP Calc, and that would be a great thing to do. And that's probably something I will do. Unfortunately, just I don't have the capacity this year to be able to do that. So what I will do is that's something that I'm definitely looking into building out though, for sure. So we'll start off though with just the pre-calculus and algebra 2, which if you are taking AP Calc, you know, there's a couple of like limits and nothing really in derivatives, but a lot of the algebra, which you obviously know in calculus, is very important and you need a strong suited for, will definitely help you out for sure. Well, you're very welcome, Orange and Adrian. Could you problem on Calc 2 homework series? Zach, I'm not teaching Calc 2, and I haven't taught Calc 2, and actually I've never taught Calc 2. It's been a really, really long time since I've taken Calc 2, so I probably wouldn't be able to answer your question quickly or efficiently at the moment. But if you want to go to the Discord, I would say that'd probably be your best bet as far as posting a question from there. Because a lot of my live streams, I don't really cover a lot of calculus just because unless I'm teaching it, it's not something that I'm as fluent with my explanations on. It's not something that's current for me. So, well, you're very welcome. Bacon King 25. We're going to be as big as they do. Yeah. Oh, you guys are, well, I guess I'll just keep on getting to my notes. I'll get to your guys' math questions, I swear. But I just kind of sometimes enjoy talking this thing. So do you think your videos are going to be as big as they were? I mean, most of my videos aren't really that big. I mean, I guess I do have a couple that are in the million, which, I mean, you know, I guess that is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. But yeah, they're, you know, like, but it's funny, like for those videos, like not to look down on that, but I mean, I have over 11,000 videos. So, I mean, I would probably say I have over 11,000 videos and maybe 100 of them are performing at like where you guys would look at them and you're like, wow, those are doing really, really well. Like those are amazing videos. And like literally the top 100 of my videos are the only ones that probably get seen. Like, I mean, there's thousands of my videos that have absolutely no comments and no views. You guys got to find them. They're out there. But yeah, it's crazy. So, you know, I guess like I kind of look at that. That's why I guess I mean, yes, the million like views or, you know, even the ones that like, you know, hundreds of thousands of views, like, yeah, it's crazy. But I guess I don't really think of it as still like that much of a success. Just because I know, you know, I have tons of videos that I think are even like, and actually a lot of those older videos, a lot of my videos that actually have a lot of views, some of them don't even have a great explanation. You know, I don't know why, you know, sometimes they get picked up and they just get promoted. You know, some of them do. And obviously if they help people, that's, you know, they keep on serving people. So that's great. But, you know, like I said, there's thousands of videos that I probably have that, you know, there's good videos and then there's ones, you know, probably not so great. But yeah, it's like amazing that, you know, there's still a lot of my content that doesn't get shown at all. So, they're out there. There's some good ones out there. I'm telling you, but yeah, you have to go and find them, Adrian. What is taught in pre-calculus? It is, a lot of trig, a lot of functions, and a lot of topics to get you prepared for calculus. Well, you're very welcome. Johnny Sins. Yeah, I know. Colleen, I have an SAT in May, so I don't know how to start studying until I found your video. It really helped me while studying. Well, awesome. Oh, Celine. Sorry, not Colleen. Celine. Yeah, SAT. Get done it now. Like do 5 SAT problems. And actually, if you join the challenge, there is definitely something else that will help you out with the SAT test that we'll be talking about as well. So I would definitely recommend joining the challenge if you have not already, Celine, because I think what we're about to cover in that will be very much helpful. All right. Is there a specific math topic? No, there's a lot of math topics my students will struggle with. Well, you're very welcome with that. Wali and Wendingo, happy 2021 to you as well. How do you solve the distance formula? How do you, we'll get all to those. I'll do some math stuff after I'm done with these people's questions that these people submitted to me. Things. How do you find the zeros of a function? We'll talk about that. You guys go and submit some questions. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started into this because I know there are some people that submitted some questions, and I really do appreciate you guys submitting questions because that obviously gives me a little bit of structure into these live streams. Even though I love just talking to you guys inside the chat, I always don't know what's coming up in the chat. So sometimes the questions don't know where everything's going to go. But let me go with these questions. And then if we have any time at the end, which I assume we will, then you guys can go and post some more questions or I'll answer them for you guys. Okay. So just a reminder for those of you that might have joined a little bit late. I did talk about the time to study. And also if you have questions for me, you can submit them in the description down below. I do have says have questions and you can go and submit them. I do answer the questions every Sunday night at 9 p.m. If you are looking for a little bit quicker response, you can go to my Discord, as well as if you're interested in joining my 30-day challenge, it starts tomorrow. So if you're going to join, the time is kind of now. And again, if you don't like the challenge and you don't want to do it anymore, you can stop at any time, but it's a challenge. So you kind of have to do it. I'm just joking, but either way, stick it out. I'll send you some questions, algebra 2 and pre-calculus. If you like it, awesome. If you don't like it and you have other things to do, that's fine. But everything that all these problems I'm sending you, I can solve in less than a minute. Not because I'm smart, but because I'm trying to, I can go through the work. They're all multiple choice to help you go through them. So I kind of keep them basic enough. So therefore to give you a quick, good review and to kind of keep it, snappy so we can do a math problem each and every time. All right. So, all right. The first one is from JP. He was saying, how do you find these missing measures? So I am assuming this figure doesn't say anything about the line A, B, and CD, but if this is going to work, then my line segments AB has to be parallel to my line segment CD. And if that's not the case, then we don't have enough information to solve for these. All right. But if that is the case, even if that's not the case, we can see that these two angles are what we call vertical angles. So we can say M is going to equal to 120 degrees. Okay. So whenever you have two lines intersecting at a point, which is called the vertex, those, as long as they don't share a side, or they're adjacent, you could say, then these are going to be vertical angles, which means they are equal. Now let's go and take a look at some other angles that we have here. So these two angles, so if we have these lines, these are parallel lines, right? At least I'm telling you parallel lines. Then you can say, well, what is the relationship between 120 and N, right? So these are what we call corresponding angles. And actually, do I want, let's actually do it. Corresponding sometimes gets students difficult, so I'll talk about those in a second. Let's do it a little bit easier. Let's talk about the alternate interior because most students can kind of recognize that. And what I mean by that is here's the interior, here's exterior. And when I'm talking about interior, exterior, I'm talking about the parallel lines. So do you see how M and N, these are both interior of the parallel lines, right? They're both inside of them. And you can see that they are alternating. One is on the right side, one's on the left side of this third line, which we call the transversal. So therefore, alternate interior angles are going to be also congruent, equal to each other when you have parallel lines. So therefore, N is equal to 120 degrees as well. And then you can see these two angles make up a straight line, right? So these are what we call a linear pair, and a linear pair are supplementary angles. So this is 120, then you could say that O is going to equal 60 degrees because they're going to add up to 180 degrees. Now let's go and take a look at these corresponding angles. Now, when we're looking at corresponding angles, these two angles, again, this is another transversal, and here's your two parallel lines. And I want you to see, from this vertex, do you guys see how these are both in the northwest quadrant of this like intersection here of the parallel line and the transversal. So since they're both in this same direction, those are what we call corresponding angles. And again, corresponding angles of parallel lines are also going to be congruent. So you can say P is equal to 67 degrees. And there you go. That's basically using your parallel lines and transversals relationships. But you got to make sure you have that parallel lines. And this problem did not provide that. So that's why I provided it to be able to solve those missing links. All right, question number 2 says, write the equation for each statement and then solve for the new value 5. If y varies directly with x and y equals 15, when x equals 3, find y. Oh, this is the question. Find y when x equals 12. Okay, so a couple things we need to understand. If something varies directly, okay, that basically means if y varies directly with x, that basically means as x gets bigger, y gets bigger. As x gets smaller, y gets smaller. So you can write the equation like this, or we can write the equation like this, y equals k to the x, which we call like a direct variation, right? Where k is going to be our proportional, our scalar. So a couple different ways we can do this. We can do the proportion method, basically saying if 15 is to 3, then what is y as x equals 12? Okay, so you can do it that way, which is basically now going to be, you can just use the cross product. So you could have 15 times 12 is equal to 3y. And 15 times 12, I think I did this. 15 times 12 is 180, which equals 3y. And then you can divide by 3. So y is equal to 60. Or another way we could do this is you could say, all right, so if y varies directly with x, so if y equals 15, and that equals k times 3, right? So what you can do here is just find, so 5 is equal to k, okay? So y equals 5x. So that is going to be the equation for the direct variation. Then if it says find y when x equals 12, then you just do this, 5 times 12, y is equal to 60, okay? So that is going to be 2 different ways you guys can go ahead and work through this. One is just using a proportions, and the other method would be actually finding k and then just using that. And then if you want to find anything else, you can easily kind of find it. And you can see how the math is a little bit easier with this one. I think proportionality sometimes is easier to understand, but once you understand the proportionality, then just using k in the equation is going to be just as fine. All right, the next one comes from G. Who is asking how to simplify this. All right, so a couple things we need to remember. Let's see here. When we are, okay, so I want to see if I can go through. So let's kind of go through some of the rules, all right? So here's some of the rules we need to know. If a over b is raised to the negative m, then b over a is raised to the positive m. And then also, if I have 1 over x to the m, oh, I'm sorry, 1 over x to the, well, let's just do this. If I had x to the negative m, that's equal to 1 over x to the m, okay, to the positive. And then also, last but not least, is the third rule we can do here, which is if I had x to the m raised to the n, that equals x to the m to the n. And then my another rule, sorry, I'm going to lie, I have one more. So if I have a to the m times b to the n raised to the p, well, then you go to both of them. So a times b to the n times b. Okay, so you can distribute that power across them since they're separated by multiplication. All right, so now let's get to this problem. Now, before I get to this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of my negatives. So I don't want all these negatives inside of here at all. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as a 3/4 times 1 over m cubed times 1 over n to the 7th times 1 over p to the 2nd. Okay. Now, if you think about this, I guess I could do one more rule here. But the other rule is if I had like 1 over x to the, like if I had this to the negative 7th, or Well, I guess you can just do that. It's going to be the same reciprocal, right? So now I can distribute this -4 to each one of these, okay? Well, the cool thing is, if I'm going to distribute the negative, all that's going to do is flip it. So it's going to flip all of these. So I'm going to have 4/3 raised to the 4th times a m cubed to the 4th times a n to the 7th to the 4th times a p squared to the 4th, right? Again, following this rule, everything just becomes the reciprocal. So even if it was like 1 over m to the -4th or negative a, whatever, that's going to equal m to the a. All right. So now I basically just need to multiply this. Now this one, I do 4 to the 4th power, 3 to the 4th. Man, I don't know. 4 raised to the 4th, 256, 3 raised to the 4th, 81. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to get 256 over 81. And then now I'm just multiplying this. So it's going to be m to the 12th times n to the 28th times p to the 8th power. And there you go. All right, the next question. We've got some rational expressions going on here. They weren't from the same people either. So sometimes I get the same ones. I'm like, oh, I got the same question. I'm like, oh, it's the same student submitted like 5 questions to me. Thank you. I like variety, ladies and gentlemen. So I appreciate you submitting everything to me, or problems that have multiple steps to them. But to keep these live streams moving, I do like to just kind of simplify, solve one question and kind of move on. All right, so to do these, you're going to have to get common denominator. And hopefully you recognize here, if these are going to common denominators, typically p plus 5 is going to be a factor, which it is. Please, this can be rewritten as p plus 5 times p minus 9. Okay? Now, does it look like this can be simplified out? That's actually interesting. So if I factor out the p here, I'm going to get a p minus 9 all over a p plus 5 times a p minus 9. Minus a 2 over p plus 5. Well, this is cool because those actually will simplify out. I'm assuming, I don't think I've actually come across a problem like this. So if you didn't simplify them out, I don't think I do problems. I've done problems like this. So let's not simplify them out, and then let's simplify them out and see if we get a simplified problem. So this p plus 5, this is with, this is simplifying them out. This would be minus 2 over p plus 5. All right, so that's going to give me a p minus 2 over p plus 5. Cool. Now, if you didn't simplify them out, and you just multiply here by p minus 9, then let's see what we get here. We get a p squared minus 9p minus a 2p plus 18 all over a p plus 5 times p minus 9. And that would give me what? A p squared minus 11p plus 18 over, oh, well, thank you. Jesus Loy, you are a legend. Thank you for helping me understand better a lot of my math, and greetings from Mexico. Well, thank you so much, Jesus. I very greatly appreciate that super chat. That is extremely awesome of you. Thank you so much for that. I am very grateful that my math has been able to help you out. So thank you for that. Greatly appreciate it. That is very, very nice. So p squared minus 11p plus 18. Ow. Sorry. And so I'm assuming that can be factored into, p minus 9 times p plus 2. Yeah, p minus 9 to p minus 2. Okay. So that can be factored. That's right. So p plus 5. Yep. So then it'd be factored onto there. So that'd work anyways, because this now can be factored. So it does work out. Cool. Which I figured it would. I mean, why would it not, right? P minus 9. And that'd be p plus 5 times p minus 9. And then those would go and divide out. Boom. So you get there. Okay. Very cool. All right, question number 5 is another exactly the same question. So let's go ahead and factor these out and try to see what our common denominator is so we can go through them. So this one I have an x minus 4 times an x plus 3. This one, I'm going to have a x minus 8. So that's going to be an x minus 4 times an x minus 4. And then this one would be an x minus 4. Okay, so my LCD here, let's see here, is going to be x minus 4. Got to have one of those. Got to have an x plus 3. And then I have to have a 2. Okay, so now all I need to do is going to get this LCD. So I'm not, yeah, whatever. So therefore I'm going to, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's just make this out. Okay, so if I need to get this to be that, I need to multiply by 2 on the top and bottom. If I need this to get to that, I need to multiply by an x plus 3 over an x plus 3. Now that might be confusing here because we have this negative, right? So I'm going to use brackets here to make sure we're staying there. Now you might say, well, Mr. McLean, you have an x minus, you have 2 of them. That's okay. You just need 1. You don't need to, that just means it's repeated. So it's fine. Over here we have the x minus 4. So again, we need to multiply by an x plus 3. And again, we're subtracting these. So we're going to need to use brackets, okay? Ugh. All right. So let's see what we get here. This is not going to be very fun. I'm already not having a good idea about this. So this becomes a 6x. Okay. So I have a 6x minus this. I can multiply out. I'm going to put these in brackets. So let's see. I get an x squared. Let's see. 3x minus x. That's be plus 2x minus 3. Sorry, I'm doing these in my head. And then this is going to be a minus. Let's put these in parentheses. Come on. All right, so this one I'm not going to be able to do in my head. I don't like when they're the same, so I'm actually going to do this over here. So let's just do this, a negative x plus 6 times x plus 3. So you just move things around and it confuses me, just like some of you. Plus 6x plus 18. Okay, so therefore negative x squared, let's see, plus 3x plus 18. All right, so therefore that's a negative x squared plus 3x plus 18. Hopefully I did that all right. And then again, that's all over my common denominator of 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 3. All right, so we're going to go from the right here. So let's apply a little distributive property. And by doing that, I get a 6x minus x squared minus 2x plus 3 minus, nope, sorry, that's plus x squared minus 3x minus 18. Let me know, guys, if I'm making some mistakes because this is a lot of math to be doing in front of all of you. Not difficult, but a lot of accounting errors can easily go wrong. So we're going to go left to right, down the back. Not what I like to see as a math teacher, but the what I'm going to work with, unfortunately. All right, so let's go and actually let's write our final answer here. So the x squareds, those go then there. Let's see here. This becomes a negative 5x. So therefore, negative 5x plus 6x, that's going to be an x. Right? Minus 18 over 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 3. Actually, I don't know why I deleted those out. That's kind of weird, confusing to look at it that way. So let's not do that. Come on. Okay. Oh, I want that. Now we can do that. That one. Okay. You got the 2 in the second term. Of course I did. What was the 2 in my second term? I don't even know what second term you're talking about. That becomes a 6x. Oh, I forgot to multiply here by 2. Dang it. Yeah, so I need a 2 there. Thank you. Good catch. So that's going to be multiplied by 2. So that means everything's wrong. Dang it. Okay. Know what I'm going to do? Doing that. All right. Sorry, guys. Man, look at that. All that waste. That was so beautiful. Done. All right, so let's do it again. 6x minus, this is a times 2. So this is going to be a 2 times x, let's say x squared. Why did I not write that back out there? That was kind of stupid. That was a negative 3, so plus 2x minus 3. Minus, now this one I can keep. right? Because this one already had the 2 down below. Okay, make sure that's good. Marquette, you send your questions in the description. If you take a look at the description of this live stream, you can see that you can see that there is a place where it says have questions, and that's where you submit them. All right, so then that's going to be over 2 times x minus 4 times an x plus 3. Okay, so then here, now let's go ahead and apply double parenthesis, double distributive value, the negative and the 2. Okay, so let's do to all of them. So therefore I get a 6x, let's see, a minus 2x squared, and this is going to become a minus 4x, and that's going to be plug a plus 6. And then here, we're going to do distributive property again. Let's see, that's going to be a plus x squared minus 3x minus 18. All over my 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 3. Okay, and now I can see here I get a negative x squared, right? So I can combine those. And then for my x's, let's see here, this becomes a negative 7x, right? That's a negative 7x with x, so that's a negative x. And then let's see, 6 and negative 18, that's going to be negative, or that's going to be, yeah, negative 12. And crap, I could probably factor that as well. So that's going to be 2 times that x minus 4 times that x plus 3. And then this looks like I can factor out that negative. That'd give me an x squared plus x. No, that won't be factorable. Okay, so we'll just leave that as that. All right, it's cool. Hopefully if I didn't make a question, let me know, because otherwise that would... I'd hate to have to do that problem again. It's just a lot of numbers and variables and ways to make sense for on that. All right, last question, and then I'll be able to get to some of your guys' questions that we have from here. So it says, hey, I had a question, how to prepare for Calculus 1 and 2 classes that I'll be taking next year. So I took pre-calculus, but instead of going to calculus, they went to AP Stats, which is majority of the students that take my class. That's typically what they do. And I was wondering if you could give me some tips on how to prepare for calculus. So kind of just like I would, it's been a while since you've taken pre-calculus. So I think the number one thing that you're going to want to do is kind of go back through the whole class. Actually, literally take pre-calculus again. Now, I actually don't go back into go into a class, but hopefully you have their notes that you did and break it up. But yeah, go through everything that you learned again. That's kind of going back to this studying, take everything you learned in pre-calculus, all the tests, all the quizzes, all the notes, all the homework, and just go back and review it. And again, don't think of this as like a cram session. You're not going to remember pre-calculus in 4 hours, but go through it. If you can spend 10 minutes every single day, just looking back and pick one assignment and just go back 10 minutes and just review what you learned, how you did the problems and everything else. Obviously, not everything that you learned in pre-calculus is going to be, applied directly into your calculus class, depending on, what you learned in pre-calculus and what you're taking in calculus and everything else. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are going to be connected, and a lot of things we want you to remember and need to know for calculus. And some of the things are just going to be related, and it's just going to be, something that's going to be, kind of referred to, or a good need to know, so you can understand better, but you don't have to really know how to do that process or concept. And, but I think it'd be really helpful if you can just go through all the content that you learn through pre-calculus. And, because a lot of the trig, when students struggle with pre-calculus, a lot of times what they struggle with is the trig. They totally forgot the unit circle. They totally forgot the trig identities. And a lot of times they forget the algebra, factoring and simplifying and rational expressions, and it's okay. You don't have to be a complete master by the time you enter into calculus, but you have to you have to be at the point where it's, I reviewed this, I remember this, rather than I do not remember the stuff at all, because then you're at risk of everything moving too fast for you. And that's not where you want to be in a math class. And if you've had that feeling, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the best way to avoid that is to go back and review the stuff that you need to know for that course. And obviously for calculus, pre-calculus is a pretty a pretty good idea of what you're going to want to know, right? Kind of like condensed into a one course preparing you for calculus. All right. So the big scar. Yes, the big scar is looking a little bit better than it was on last Sunday. Last Sunday, though, I was definitely in some pain. Yes, Mathway and Photomath stabilize. Yeah, they are definitely very helpful. No, not going to get in for any of those. You got to pay for it. What do you got to pay for, Butch? Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you can, I didn't know Photomath. I thought Photomath was free. I'm sure they have a paid version. Mathway, same thing. I mean, obviously, if you want to see the work step-by-step solutions, yes, I know that's paid for on Mathway, but I also like sometimes just getting the answers and working from there. Where to prepare for an answer for the math challenge? Good question. I meant to go and do that. You'll see so for the math challenge tomorrow, there is a workbook that I have for you guys that I'm going to send to you that unfortunately I did not get designed in time. So we'll just have to send you what I have. But then also there's a Google form for you to submit your answer each and every time. And originally I wasn't going to do that because it's kind of annoying to create a Google form for every single problem, because obviously I don't want to do them all, because then you could just do the whole 30-day challenge. So I had to individually create a Google form for each and every day, which was kind of annoying. But whatever. I think it's helpful for students to kind of get that immediate feedback. So even though the next day I send you a video of how to do the problem, or how I approached it, which you might approach it differently and you can kind of see my work. I think it's always helpful when you do a problem, like to get that immediate feedback. Like I thought it would be kind of annoying if I was doing this challenge to have to wait a whole day to see like what the right answer was or how to do the problem. Like I kind of want to know the immediate feedback if I got it right or wrong. So, which by the way, I just realized I got to go ahead and change that. Crap. So I actually got to put in the answers onto the Google form, which I did not do yet. So crap. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go ahead and do that stream. I was hoping to get some questions to you guys at the end, but unfortunately, I still have some work to get ready for my challenge. And then I got school tomorrow. So unfortunately, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the stream. I'm going to have to cut it a little bit early for you guys tonight. But again, if you have not signed up for the challenge and you want to challenge yourself of being consistent with your math, then you can go to brianmclogan.com/challenge. Go ahead and sign up. I will be emailing you a new math question each and every day to help you with your Algebra 2 or pre-calculus or any course above or below. You still should get some benefit out of those two challenges. And then also, guys, I will be back next week. So if you do have questions for me, please feel free to go in the link in the description. Go ahead and submit your question, and I will be more than happy to see if I can add it to my stream next week. Or as well, if you have not already signed on to the Discord server, go ahead there, answer a question, help somebody out with their question. And I look forward to, how do I stop going on distractions? I hope to see you guys next week. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheers.